For those who have embarked on the dangerous path of crime, one of the main temptations is the possibility of getting rich quick. For the sake of this, people often go to crime. And although few of the gangsters complete their earthly journey in old age, surrounded by loving grandchildren, this does not stop anyone. Well, everyone makes their own choice of life path. In this video, I want to introduce you to the stories of the 10 richest gangsters in history. My personal attitude to crime is negative, and perhaps these stories of quick enrichment and no less rapid fall from the criminal Olympus will serve as a kind of warning to viewers. These people are ready to break the law for the sake of quick and fabulous enrichment. You can really earn a lot of money through crime. However, you must always remember that this will not end in anything good. After all criminal empires were built on blood and other people's grief. And so let's get acquainted with the 10 richest gangsters in the world. 10th place. Frank Lucas. Frank Lucas has always aspired to wealth. When he learned of the potential of the heroin business in Vietnam, he believed he had found the key to it. He shipped tons of heroin from Asia. The gangster took control of the heroin trade in New York and New Jersey. Lucas arranged for heroin to be shipped from Vietnam in the coffins of dead soldiers. At the peak of his criminal career, he was earning $1 million a day. The drug dealer had a net worth of $52 million when he was arrested. After leaving prison, Lucas gave up crime and lived to be 88 years old. 9th place. Jose Figueroa Augusto. Jose Figueroa Augusto rose up after killing a driver who stole a cocaine shipment. He was convicted of murder, but in 1999 he managed to escape. He was arrested only in July 2010 in Puerto Rico. He made his millions in drug trafficking and controlled 90% of the drug traffic from the Dominican Republic to Puerto Rico. For a long time, he successfully eluded the police by giving bribes. But his luck still came to an end. His fortune is estimated at $100 million. Augusto was sentenced to 209 years in prison. 8th place. Joseph Kennedy. Joseph Kennedy made his first million before the age of 30 selling liquor. In those days, it was illegal, because the US had a dry law. So he got involved with New York and Chicago gangsters and became a successful bootlegger. Even after liquor was allowed to be sold again, Kennedy continued to maintain these dubious connections. It is believed that this helped to control the elections. In total, Kennedy earned over $300 million. In the dashing 20s in the United States, many fortunes were made on the smuggling of alcohol. 7th place. Meyer Lansky gambling gangster. Meyer Lansky organized a gang that was engaged in racketeering, burglary and alcohol smuggling. Thanks to this, the bandits became members of the top of the syndicate. He took control of the gambling business in Las Vegas and developed the same in Cuba. But Fidel Castro took from Meyer everything he had on the island of freedom. Then the gangster continued his gambling activities in the Bahamas. Lansky was involved in a criminal business involving drugs, prostitution, pornography, extortion, and money laundering. This is one of the 400 richest people in the US with a profit of over $600 million. During his life he served only a short prison term. Lansky died of lung cancer in Miami at the age of 83. Lansky is one of the few crime bosses who died a natural death at an advanced age. 6th place. Big L. Alphonse Capone was gladly accepted into the youth gang because of his powerful physique. They hunted robbery, murder. By the time he came of age, New York mob boss Frankie Yale hired him as a bouncer in his bar. With him, the fights stopped. He was nicknamed Big L for his authority and cruelty. In 1921, Johnny Torrio was hired by Chicago mob boss Johnny Torrio as an outlaw. Capone terrified everyone. He became a real gangster. During Prohibition, Capone became a millionaire and spread racketeering. Hundreds of murders were unprovable, so the gangster was arrested for nothing more than tax evasion. He was given 11 years, but already in 1939 he was released. Really hopelessly ill. At 48, he died of a cerebral hemorrhage. His fortune at that time was $1,300 million. Al Capone is the most famous gangster in history. 5th place. Griselda Blanco, godmother of cocaine. Griselda Blanco was famous for her cruelty and greed. By her order, and sometimes with direct participation, more than 200 murders were committed. Sometimes the victims were innocent children who became casual witnesses of crimes related to the supply of cocaine from South American countries to the United States. Griselda contributed to the distribution of Colombian cocaine throughout America. Under her leadership, special women's underwear was developed for transporting drugs across the border. The income from the criminal business reached $80 million a month, which allowed the godmother of the drug business to earn over $2 billion. A criminal career did not prevent Griselda from going down the aisle 3 times and becoming a mother 4 times. However, 3 of the 4 children were killed by competitors. The criminal herself spent 20 years behind bars, continuing to manage her drug business from prison. After her release, Blanco returned to Colombia, where she found her death from the bullets of two motorcycle hitmen. At that time she was 69 years old. The queen of cocaine loved men, money, and power, but this did not bring her happiness. Fourth place, Carlos Lederer, the owner of the drug island, Colombia. And Carlos Lederer is one of the largest drug traffickers in history, who has introduced advanced shipping methods to deliver Colombian cocaine to the Americas via Asian countries. He was among the founders of the famous Medellin cocaine cartel. Lederer acquired an entire island in the Bahamas, which became an important link in the chain of drug trafficking, which reached 300 kilograms per day. For the personal safety of the drug lord, a real fortress was even built on the island. For his crimes, Carlos was sentenced to 135 years in prison, which he is currently serving. Due to the sale of drugs and racketeering, Lederer made a fortune of $2,700,000,000. Third place, Joaquin Guzman Luera Shorty. Joaquin Guzman Luera began growing poppies for opium and hashish to feed his family at a young age. He got his nickname El Chapo or Shorty due to his small growth of 168 centimeters. El Chapo led the Sinaloa cartel, which controlled drug trafficking between the countries of South America, the United States and Europe. In 1993 he was first sentenced to 20 years, but in 2001 he fled after bribing about 70 people from the prison administration and guards. The drug lord was wanted by the FBI for 13 years, but in 2014 he was finally caught in Mexico. He spent a year and a half in the Altiplano prison, from where he escaped through a tunnel, 1.5 kilometers long, dug from the prison shower room. After escaping from the Altiplano, Mexican authorities were able to detain Guzman in the city of Los Mochis in the state of Sinaloa in January 2016. In January 2017, he was extradited to the United States, where he received a life sentence. During his criminal career, Luera managed to earn more than $4 billion. Second place, Amado Carrillo Fuentes, Lord of the Skies. Amado Carrillo Fuentes is a Mexican drug trafficker who was one of the founders of the Juarez cartel. He got his nickname for organizing the supply of drugs to America by huge planes. He managed to control more than half of the drug traffic between Mexico and the United States. Shortly before his death, Fuentes tried to establish ties with the Russian drug mafia. He died in 1997 from a lethal dose of painkillers during an operation to change his appearance. Thus, the criminal wanted to get away from the persecution of special units for the fight against drugs. Fuentes made about $25 billion from the drug trade. Fuentes has changed his appearance more than once. First place, Pablo Escobar, king of cocaine. Pablo Escobar is the most famous drug lord in history, one of the founders of the Medellin cartel. In his youth, Pablo was engaged in theft and sale of tombstones. Then he went into the drug business and, thanks to his personal qualities, began to control more than 80% of the supply of cocaine to North America. In the mid-1980s, Escobar's cocaine empire controlled almost every area of Colombian society. Escobar had so much money that he offered several times to pay off the country's external debt, which amounted to over $10 billion. Entire warehouses located in abandoned buildings were used to store cash drug dollars. Due to improper storage conditions, over $1 billion are destroyed by rats every year. There is a known case when Escobar made a fire from banknotes to warm his daughter. More than 2 million greens disappeared in the fire. The cocaine king's own fortune is estimated at more than $30 billion. Pablo Escobar is considered one of the most dangerous and brutal criminals in history. On his account, hundreds of murders and even undermining a civilian aircraft. Escobar survived several assassination attempts and was killed by Colombian police in 1993. He was discovered through a long telephone conversation with his son.